Hello, welcome everyone. Can you hear me? Okay, I think we'll go ahead and get started to respect everyone's time. I'm Nancy Eckerly, the Chamber Director in Jasper, and we love to do this event every year, and so we love that we brought it back, and we brought it back in person. So thank you all for being here today. It means a lot, and I think you'll learn a lot, and thank you for all the local media for being here also. It's a great way to cover for the entire community things that are going on. So we've done this before where we've had the mayor, the school superintendent, and the county officials also attend, but truthfully, it's an election year in the county, and I don't like to get all that stuff jumbled up. So we decided just to go with the two city entities this year, and also it helps kind of keep it on time, because when we have the other two, it really runs it way over. So I would like to welcome you all today to the 2022 State of the City and School Addresses, and we'd like to welcome today Greater Jasper School Superintendent Tracy Lorey, and then our Mayor, Dean Vanderheide, and Tracy has, we've decided she will go first, so let's all give her a round of applause for being here.
Good morning. I'm getting ready to show my technological lack of prowess. Let's see here. Okay, well, good morning. Would like to take this opportunity to thank Nancy and the rest of the chamber members for the opportunity to share just a high overview of some of the key pieces of information regarding our school district. It's my hope that the report will build some awareness and provide everyone a clearer understanding of our successes, the opportunities that we have as a local school district, and potentially some of the challenges that some of those same kinds of things may present us as we really strive to provide our students with a world-class education. So I thought I would just start off a little bit to just talk about who we are as a district, and the best way to do that is just to provide you with some demographic information. So the combination of information that you will see here is a combination of 2021 and 2022 data. Schools operate on an odd calendar because we don't operate from a January to December look at ourselves in terms of data and fiscal review. So in the 2021 school year, our ADM was about 3,214 students. Of that 3,214, about 36% of those students would be considered economically disadvantaged. About 8% of those are English language learner, with English being a second language for those students. And then 14.5 of those students would be considered students with disabilities. So we have quite a diverse population of students, and our support programs and services that we offer to our students would be reflective of the needs of students in all demographic categories. Just a little bit of information regarding the educators that are providing those services to our students. We have about 227 full-time certified teachers or staff. That does fluctuate from year to year based on the needs of the services that we provide. About 72% of those students have 10 or more years of experience, and you may wonder why that's an important statistic. Of that, about half of those have 20 or more years of experience. So when we think about future planning for our school district and the needs of serving the education needs of the students in our community, teachers that are going to be retiring eventually will have to be replaced. And I'm sure many of you have heard a lot of the scuttle about a teacher shortage in the state of Indiana as well as across the nation. And so when we think about the years of experience of our teaching staff, not only do we consider the quality of the education that those individuals are providing, but when we have to think about losing those individuals to newer educators, being able to find those individuals who have the credentials that we need to replace the current teaching staff becomes something that we really keep our eyes on. Our teaching staff is technically contracted for 183 days, and our teacher salary ranges currently are a beginning teacher starts at about $42,000, where the top end is somewhere around $79,000 for those who have had the most experience here within the district. And then the salary, wages, and benefits of all of our employees really encompass about 95% of all of our education fund revenue. And of that, it costs us about $15.5 to $16 million to support just the certified staff that supports the needs of our kids. In terms of just some stats academically, last year we graduated 259 students. Of that, we had about a 92.5% graduation rate. 49% of those kids earned a academic honors or technical honors type of diploma. And in that group of students, of all the students at the high school level, there were over 1,000 dual credit course enrollments. There were 496 advanced placement course enrollments, and there were 1,587 career and technical education course enrollments for students at Jasper High School. Some of that's a duplicate, so you could be a student and be enrolled in more than one of those kinds of courses, but the opportunities for our kids to explore careers and have coursework that is tailored to the needs of those future careers is something that our school district is very proud of. And I think as you see in a little bit when we talk about the vision of what the future looks like, I think you'll see even more how valuable these exposures and experiences will be. I would be remiss if I did not also talk about the other operational and infrastructure and student support services that help us to meet the critical needs of our kids. These statistics I always find really astounding. We have over 477 acres of property that we manage, over 1 million square feet of building footprint across the district to be maintained. We had 159,942 bus route miles traveled last year, and that's not inclusive of field trips and athletic events, et cetera. We served over almost 415,000 meals to students. Over 300,000 of those were lunches, and by the way, all of those were free, because the federal government had provided that aid, especially in light of the pandemic. We certainly hope that's something that can continue, because that is a gap closer for a lot of students. Almost 9,600 students were seen by our school nurses. We have one school nurse in each of our 4 schools. That's a lot of kids that our nurses see, and that doesn't even count the number of times of students had to be managed through COVID-related issues, through quarantine, contacting parents, and all of the things that go with what the pandemic had brought to the table of our nurses. And so they've had a huge lift, and this is just a little snippet of what that would have looked like. With that being said, food service, health services, transportation services, grounds and maintenance, all of those things are highly important and valuable to the operations of our schools, so that their schools are ready and our students have all of the unique needs that they bring to us on a daily basis met. Just some quick financial stats. And again, school funding is kind of an awkward process. So most people have a fiscal year and a budget year that line up. Well, in schools, we have a budget year that spans January to December, but we operate on a fiscal year which spans from July 1 to June 30. And so a lot of times some of our numbers are a little bit lagging. So what I've tried to do is provide you kind of a snapshot of the combination of the two. So in funding year 20, which is reported in 2021, we spent about $10,600 per pupil out of all of the funds that we receive revenue from to educate a student. And so when I say all funds, we receive state, local, and federal dollars in a lot of different forms. The bulk of the funding that we receive to educate our students comes from the education fund, which is provided to us from state income and sales tax. But we also receive Title I funds, Title III funds, and English as a new language funds at the state level that help support some of that, along with funding for special education services that help, again, to support the needs of kids. Our funding year 21 assessed valuation was right around 1.2 billion. It's right now about 1.331 billion. And our appropriations for last year were somewhere around 39 million. Our tax rate stood at $1.12. I'll be happy to note that our tax rate this year is $1.11. And within that tax rate, we pull local dollars to help support the needs of the facilities, transportation, those things that are those ancillary infrastructure operational things. Technology would be things that would support. We did have almost $1 million in property tax cap losses last year. We're a fortunate district. Nobody likes to think about property tax cap losses, and yet we're still able to manage appropriately within our operations fund, even despite those losses. Our total assets at the end of 2021 were right around $330 million. And I think it's important to note, especially as we move forward with some of the information that I'll give you here at the end of the presentation, to note that as we manage our debt service, we have some opportunity ahead of us by the sheer means of the fact that we have lease rental debt that is going to be paid off for our Jasper Middle School, our Jasper High School, and then an Ireland classroom addition that we had done a few years ago by the end of January 2024. So what that does is that provides us, if we do a good job of strategically planning our needs as a district, as well as how our needs are met financially, to be able to address those in a way that doesn't cause our taxpayers to be overburdened with increases in their tax rates. Another great example of that would be the recent construction and opening of Jasper Elementary School. Because of this little sweet spot that we sit in with debt falling off and opportunity with the current tax rate and debt service, we were able to construct a new school and the classroom addition that you see going on right now without raising our tax rate to our local taxpayers. And that's something we're very proud of. I'm not going to read these to you, and this is just like this much of this wide breadth of things and opportunities that all of our students have the opportunity to participate in. We have opportunities in the arts and athletics that give our kids a full exposure to the kinds of opportunities that will help them become well-rounded, help them to gain the critical skills to help them interpersonal relationships as they work with one another. And we're certainly proud of that. So these are just a few that I thought I would draw to your attention. Okay, so we have worked, one of the other things that I think we're super proud of as a school district really asks us to broaden our lens and think of ourselves as one school system within a county of school systems. We're very proud of the fact that we have a collaborative working arrangement with the other 3 Dubois County school systems. And part of that work created a group called Hub 19, which many of you may be familiar with. And a lot of the work of that has gotten us to the development of what we call a Dubois County graduate profile. And this was developed, again, through a partnership of the 4 Dubois County school systems. Community members were involved, as well as our community stakeholders through this Hub 19. And basically, the graduate profile specifies some competencies that we believe, through our work, that all students should possess when they graduate from high school. The attributes focus on qualities that we feel will lead to personal success during the time they are students in Greater Jasper schools, but also would serve them well with whatever they choose beyond us in their next post-secondary opportunities. We have dedicated time talent, and treasure to the hiring of career coaches. Jasper was the first of the 4 districts to do so. Mrs. Dana Kuntz is our career coach, and I will just give her a shout out. She is an amazing young lady who, if you give her a task of creating a program to serve the needs of students, she goes above and beyond to make that happen. Those career coaches are currently taking this graduate profile, and they are working to develop exemplars of practice that occur at each grade level, and this is K through 12. And so the ultimate goal then would really be that students would be engaged both explicitly and through the activities that we provide them both academically and co-curricularly and extracurricularly, to develop kind of an individual digital portfolio as evidence of their success in achieving each of these attributes. And so it is a work in progress, but we do believe that these attributes done well and documented well will prepare our students for success in whatever their next steps may be. I want to talk a little bit about our college and career counseling because we've invested a lot of importance in the work that Dana has done. The work of those college and career counselors is really to assist students in identifying what their post-secondary goals are going to be, and then that person would advise them on their educational pathways in order to achieve whatever those goals may be. And so the students in grades 6 through 12 have the benefit and opportunity of not only working with their guidance counselor, but also working with our career coach, which is Dana, in doing things like participating in interest inventories, doing career explorations in the national career clusters, working on graduation plans in grade 6, and then revisiting those as they develop more of a sense of who they are, what their interests are, and what potential careers they may find of interest for themselves. We engage community partners and opportunities for kids to get into Dubois County and see through employers the kinds of careers that Dubois County can offer them as they move out of their formal education and into the workforce, and we certainly want them to consider coming back to Jasper and Dubois County. Things like tour of opportunity or a career cruise or job shadowing opportunities or even work-based learning and internships gives our students a sense of the types of careers that are available to them, as well as the types of careers that are available to them in Dubois County. And then that career coach can help them make plans academically throughout their experience within our school system to hopefully have them more prepared to be able to either enroll when they graduate, enlist when they graduate, or find employment when they graduate. And so one of the buzzwords that you're starting to hear, not only hopefully locally, but on the state level would be, are our kids ready to do one of those 3 things? So some other, Indiana recognizes that the path to earning a high school diploma and graduating from high school is not a one-size-fits-all endeavor. And so what they've determined, and they determined this a few years ago, is that there are many pathways to earning a high school diploma. And so beginning with the class of 2023, although we have also been implementing this for our current junior and senior classes, our current senior class and the juniors before them, having to demonstrate different areas of competency in order to earn that diploma. So it's not just as easy as earning enough credits. So it takes into account earning credits, being able to demonstrate employability, and then having some way to show your competency in what you have learned. So when we think about earning a high school diploma, it takes 40 credits to earn that diploma, and those courses are laid out in the course of study, which are required, and those that are electives. Then there are opportunities for students to go above and beyond that and earn academic or technical honors type of diplomas. It takes 47 credits for that to happen. And then, of course, there is a general diploma still available to students in Indiana. But earning the credits to get that honor and credential is not the only thing that is required of our students any longer. They also have to demonstrate employability. And so ways that they can do that, we engage all of our 10th graders in service-based learning projects. They have opportunities for certifications, work-based learning, building resumes, being a part of interviews. And so those are all ways that we can have students demonstrate employability and what those employability skills bring to them as a future employee and a member of a community. The other way is through competency. Ways that students can earn competency points toward graduation would be by earning that honors diploma, or passing an SAT, ACT, or an ASVAB test, or earning an industry certification, or earning CTE concentrator status through career and technical education pathways of study. So I want to talk a little bit about just this next level programs of study, which does encompass all of that idea of CTE concentrator status, which is one of the ways a student can demonstrate competency. The idea that a 4-year university enrollment for every student is the measure of success for a student beyond high school is not necessarily, in reality, what may be best and what the future of jobs is for this generation of students. So the Governor's Workforce Cabinet of Career and Technical Education has been rolling out and phasing in what they're calling the next level programs of study. And the next level programs of study is meant to improve the consistency, the quality, and the intentionality of CTE instruction. What it does is it aligns the high school secondary CTE courses with post-secondary competencies, allowing students to make progress toward a post-secondary degree or certification during their high school years, and it primes them for that next step right when they walk out of our doors with their diploma. That concentrator status consists of a 3-course sequence in a program of study for students to obtain it. It serves as evidence toward meeting that third prong of that graduation pathway, which is also that competency piece. So not only is it preparing them for a post-secondary pathway or credential, but it serves that third prong of earning and showing or demonstrating competency in the graduation pathways that help them to earn that Indiana diploma. Oftentimes, dual credit is available in many of the courses for transfer into a post-secondary program or credentialing, and ultimately, we hope that we can add an additional course to those pathways in the form of capstones. And we have a few already, but we will be working diligently to make that happen. Greater Jasper Schools is a member of the Patoka Valley Career and Technical Education Cooperative. We are a cooperative of schools that create these types of opportunities for students. We have some that we offer internally at Jasper High School. We have opportunities that are offered here at Vincennes University Jasper Center through a partnership with them. And we also send students to other high schools in the area for some of these as well. But when we started talking about what does that next level program of study look like for us as a school system, we found very quickly that we did need to do a little bit of pivoting on some of our coursework, but through the partnerships that we have established in the past and with the programs that we have put in place, our students already have an abundance of opportunities to find those pathways and meet those concentrator statuses, which definitely will set them ahead of the game with earning that diploma and then being ready for whatever post-secondary opportunities they deem will be appropriate for themselves. So on the left-hand side, what you'll see are the current offerings for our students. On the right-hand side, you will see some of those next level path that are in development. And so, again, many of these are shared programs that are occurring within the Patoka Valley Career and Technical Education Cooperative, but all Jasper High School students would have the opportunity to engage in one of these pathways and find the course sequences available to them to meet those needs. When we know that all this is going on, but when I finally put this into this PowerPoint, I looked at that and I thought, how amazing that our students live in a community like Jasper with these kinds of opportunities to learn for careers that are being represented locally within each of these next level paths. So it certainly makes you kind of step back and have a prideful moment of the work that our dedicated staff has done to make sure that we are set up to meet those needs for our kids. So as we continue to think to the future, not only will we be meeting the academic needs of students and finding the staff to meet those needs, but we also have some other needs that we are going to be needing to address in terms of facilities. Most importantly, when we think about academics, Ireland Elementary School is on track to receive a classroom expansion to be remodeled and have security updates. The school was built in 1992, and it's starting to show it, and they need space to further develop preschool programming, which will mirror some of the same kind of opportunities for students we have at Jasper Elementary School. We are currently in a 4-classroom expansion of Jasper Elementary. Every feasibility study that we did when we built that school said we built it big enough, but we did not. And we are busting at the seams, and we are very fortunate that we still had funding remaining from the original construction that covers the cost of that 4-classroom expansion. Again, being cognizant of the support of our local taxpayers and not having to continue to overburden them from what our current burden is. Because of all of the career and technical education emphasis on coursework and needs for those next level paths, we are going to be entering into an expansion and remodeling of the CTE area at Jasper High School. With those courses offers a lot of learning opportunities that the current space just doesn't address. And so with that trend and changes of curricular coursework and the way the standards engage students in learning the objectives, that space really needs to be more tailored to what those needs are. Jasper High School and Jasper Middle School will also be getting a little bit of facelift with interior finishes. I think Jasper High School last saw carpet in 2000, and there you go. It's 22 years later, and after you get 1,000 kids tromping on it every day for 180 days, for 20 years, you can tell it's seen its better days. So we will be trying to do some interior finish upgrades at those schools to freshen up the learning environments. And then we do have some outdoor athletic field and facility improvements planned for our high school sports complex, alumni stadium, and Ruxer Field. One of the other things we are currently working on is rebranding our school system and doing a better job of messaging the immense amount of work being done, not only to prepare our students, but to be able to showcase the successes that our students and our staff are having. Schools aren't very good at marketing, and in this day and age, we have come to discover that if we don't toot our own horn, someone will do it for us, and we may not like what that message says. And so we have been engaging with the Indiana Public Relations Association in helping us to hone in on what kind of branding and marketing would be best for us to share our message about the great things that we have going on. And so there'll be more to come on this. We definitely recognize the need for us to be much more intentional about our school image and how we present ourselves to our families, communities, and stakeholders. So there will be much more to come on this as we move through the future. I can tell you I'm not very tech savvy, but I will also tell you that we do have a media presence on social media. And so if you would like to check us out online, here are the ways that you can do that. We also have a Greater Jasper app. If you do not have that, I would highly encourage you to grab it. You can also get information from all the other school apps within this app as well. You know, we take a lot of pride in providing high-quality educational programs and learning experiences that meet the needs and aspirations of our students. And it takes a highly qualified staff to make that happen, and I certainly will defer all the credit for all of the good things that are going on to the staff that is there to support those learning needs for our kids, whether it's in the classroom, cafeteria, in the bus, or making sure the buildings and technology are ready to roll. It takes everybody to make school happen on a daily basis. I just get to keep all the balls in the air and make sure everybody has the resources that they need. Again, I just would like to thank Nancy and the Chamber and everyone here today for coming out to hear a little bit about us. Like I said, this is just like a little drop in the water of what we could be. We might not want me here. I could have stood here all afternoon and put y'all to sleep. But very excited to share about Greater Jasper Schools. It's something near and dear to my heart. And I just know that we will continue our commitment to enhance the future needs of our kids and our community. So thank you.
Right, next in our lineup is Mayor Dean Vanderheide, and he will come up and go through his presentation also. And then because they have class in here, again, we need to probably be out of here by 9:45 or 10:10. So thank you. And Mayor, let's thank him for being here today.
Let me see if I can figure out where I'm at on this. I got a quick instructional right before we started. I'm hoping that's showing up right now. Do you see the state of the city, Jasper?
Yes.
Great. Well, I guess it's good afternoon right now, and it's my pleasure just to speak a little bit about where we are as a city. And I think it really reflects what Dr. Lorey had covered with regard to the school. We're fortunate. You know, we have a great community, and they get behind our students, and education is a priority. Education for everyone at all ages. We have the facility here. We have other schools that are here, post-secondary. And I really believe that is the number one element that we have as a community to keep us viable in the future. And I will cover a few things as we go through here that I think will relate to that. People are always asking me, how can we afford this? How can we do that? And there's a lot of things we can't afford to do, but we're in pretty good shape. We do long-range planning when it comes to our financial situation, the projects we have on the books. So we're looking 2, 3, 4, and 5 years out now as to where the money's going to come from, and can we even feasibly approach it. When we look at our general fund at the end of the year, we had a significant balance that was still remaining there. And we've been fairly conservative over the years, you know, not knowing what the world of COVID might bring to us, and the fact that we had essential functions that needed to take place and how we might go about that. So, you know, when we got to the end of the year, we were in pretty good shape. We always try to maintain about a $2 million rainy day fund. You never know what's going to happen, what roof or what system might break down, and where you're going to have some finances come into it. Park and Rec is expanding, continuing to work. You saw the parklands, and it's been a wonderful addition, but we also, you know, deactivated Rookser Golf Course. And there's some things that we need to do in place of that. We've lost a couple gymnasiums with some of the work that's been done. And, you know, part of our plans in the future is how do we go in and replace some of that. ARPA funds, we received half of our ARPA allocation so far. We've committed 1/3 of those funds to work with the county through the HELP program. The other we haven't got any specific commitments to it, but we've got plenty of projects out there that will consume these funds. And edit funds. Edit is something that over the years we've become very dependent upon. And so we do rely on that. We're paying off our debt on the new Tin Clark Cultural Center. That's coming from edit funds. And it will continue to go for about the next 8 years, I think, is what the duration of it is. Nothing happens in the city without the people. And this gives you an indication as to how many people are employed across the city to make everything work. And, you know, the last thing you want to worry about when you're living within the city limits is having good water, being able to flush your toilet, all those things that are just become the no-brainers, the things that we expect to have happen. We expect our roads to be in good shape, to be plowed when it's snowing. We expect our stormwater to go where it's supposed to and stay out of our yards. There's a lot we can do, and there's a lot we can't approach. But across the city, you see here specifically the utilities, and you put those up front. You know, electricity is a key, and our people are out there every day looking for opportunities to prevent downtime in our electric department. The street department, hats off to them. You know, they're out there. They collected garbage during COVID. They were out there keeping the streets clean during COVID. We imposed upon our employees and those that became in contact with them certain restrictions in order to secure their safety. And that was the purpose of that, is to secure their safety as employees. It wasn't to be a mandate across the whole entire city. That's up to each individual and their employer to make those decisions. But within the city, we did what we could to keep them safe, and we're very happy that we had, if any cases, none that I'm aware of people that were exposed at work. So I'm really proud of that. You look through there, the arts department really challenged this year, and you'll see when we get to some of the numbers. But full-time employees, you'll go down, you'll see that we have 177 full-time employees. That's a lot. 123, which we consider permanent part-time, and then we have seasonal employees of 54. At the end of the year, well, not the end of the year, but during the year, we always have our financials audited, and the State Board of Accounts came through and they gave us, again, a great letter of commendation, if you will, for the way we handled the books. So the Clerk Treasurer's Office does a great job of keeping our financials straight. We also had in 2021 a new program that was launched. It was the Facade grant program, and this was only available because the Redevelopment Commission allowed some of the monies that they had in funds to go there. We felt like the downtown, we need an improvement. We're continuing to improve that downtown area, and these facades, it's a 50-50 program. We will commit up to $10,000 grant if you've matched the same, at least matched the same. And we didn't know how it would go, but the first year out, we had more applicants than we did funds. And this year, we've going through the same thing. We committed to another year of it, and it looks like it's building momentum. We're starting to see some changes in the downtown area. They also distributed $120,000 through the Genesis 12 project, and that was a grant specific to businesses to help them get through these tough times. So if a business was struggling and we became aware of it, they were able to provide this grant money to help those businesses make it through. The Jasper Mayor's Youth Leadership Council, when we started this out, I think we had 8 students the first year, and we now have 21 students on that council. These are all top-notch students. There's a lot more out there in the school system. But these students came on board understanding that they needed to commit some time. We meet on Wednesday mornings at 7:15 in the morning. It's about every other Wednesday at the high school, so they can get to class in time yet. But these students are committed to the community, and they want to make a difference, and they want to leave their handprint. When they take off and go to school elsewhere, when they come back, they want to see what they've done. They want to physically be able to see what they've contributed to the community and take pride in that. I'm really excited about that because they get an exposure of going in front of all kinds of commissions and boards, the councils. They just had a presentation this past week at the Dubois County Museum Board of Directors. And I think it's a wonderful opportunity for them to learn what it takes to get things done in the community. And then our partnership commission, Artisan Exchange, was something new this year. Even in the midst of COVID, we were planning on how our relationship with Pfaffenweiler could grow. You know, it's not just a handshake and a wave and have a beer. You know, this is a relationship that we want to grow and develop an economic exchange, a cultural exchange. We want this to continue to evolve. And so at this year, we chose this Artisan Exchange, and we had 3 artisans from the city of Jasper that traveled to Pfaffenweiler, were there for a period of time, were able to show their goods at a market, and really kind of represented us. And I think we're going to see more and more of that from other fields as we go forward. We implemented all of our ordinances online through Ecumenical. The way we had been handling our ordinances in the past, we would come up with a great rule to be enforced in March, but it wouldn't be updated in our code book until the end of the year, physically. You know, even though the ordinance is in place. So where was the reference that the public could have for it? Now you have that reference online, and it's about as real time as we're going to get because it's about 30 days post the actual ordinance passing. The Dove Recovery Project, we donated the old, I can't even think of the name of it now, the Hydorn property, and that is being converted into a transitional housing unit for women. We need that in this county. We need it in the city. And we're just glad that we were able to take an asset of the city of Jasper, make that conversion, that transfer, and put it in good hands for the future benefit of the community. The Courthouse Square infrastructure project has launched. We are out to bid on it right now, and we expect to have bids back by the 22nd of this month and awarding the contract hopefully by March 8th. Then we'll go to negotiations with the contractor and see where it takes us from there. But that is a key. That's been on the books since 2017 or so. We didn't finance it back then when it was first brought to us at the council because of the funding conflict. We decided to move forward with the Tim Clark Cultural Center, and that's been a wonderful asset for the community. But this will be also. This is going to really freshen up the downtown, but most importantly, it's going to replace water lines that are almost 100 years old. It's going to help in the stormwater infrastructure. And we have some issues around that square and on Main Street. And it will take and make it much more user-friendly when it comes to festival-friendly activities around the square. It will provide ADA access to the courthouse through the front door. And that's not been the case. I'd like to have some other buildings in town also do that, but some that we don't have any influence over. But glad to see the county has been a real big, strong proponent of this and has contributed toward this. We implemented the new Esri GIS system, and this is an enterprise-wide system that we'll be able to use in utilities to help locate lines throughout the city. And today's world, that's a time-consuming thing. I thought there was I thought I read in Jeff Tising's report that they had over 1,476 locates in the past year, and that's a lot. That's a lot to get out there and say, where are these utilities before we ever start construction? But this is going to be a wonderful system to help us out, and it has been implemented. It is now being taught on how to transition old ways into the new, by department by department. The Redevelopment Commission, the city, we did award a new housing development at the Library Square, and we're really excited about what that brings for us in the future. Housing was one of the #1 issues across our county, the need for housing, for people to be able to relocate here and fill the jobs that we have. And so we're doing our share to try to fill that. Had a lot of building permits, and this kind of gets into it. Single-family residences, multifamily residences, and one of the things we have to look at is what is it doing as far as investments in the community. And you see almost $86 million in property development in the city. That's a bunch. And feel very proud that we're on the right track, but we've got a long way to go yet to meet the needs. We did get the mobile food vendor or food truck ordinance through, if you will, and we've started that downtown, and we've got some other areas in the community where they're active. We have 24 permits issued within the city. I think that's becoming more and more viable. We see some of those converting into brick and mortar facilities, and one of the things we continue to hear is we need more restaurants. Well, to get more restaurants, you have to have people that are going to test the market, and this is a good way for them to test the market with their products. And in 2021, we did adopt the Jasper multimodal plan, and this is the bicycle and pedestrian plan for the city, along with our main transportation routes. Now, we know that that plan is out there, and that it will be adapted to interface with the Mid-States corridor when we find the route. The Utilities Office, we have come of age finally. We accepted credit cards. And then we've seen the continued increase in usage of credit cards. So it's obviously something that the public wanted, needed, and they're utilizing. The advanced metering infrastructure project, instead of having someone go around and reading the meters, I mean, we're doing it from a truck, but instead of someone having to make that route, this will be done automatically and feeding into a central repository, and we'll be able to monitor if there's a water line breaks somewhere in the city. We'll be able to tell through this well before maybe the end user would even know it. So that is underway. It'll be underway for the next year and a half yet. A new SCADA system at the wastewater department. And then if you remember back in February of last year, we were asking everyone to monitor their gas usage, their natural gas usage, and we weathered that pretty well. The community came together, supported it, decreased our usage, and we got through a very tough time there without having to see the escalated prices that other areas did see. So it takes a community to make it work, and I appreciate everyone's willingness to go along with that. Gives you a little idea as to how many gallons of water we treat, and as well, we are one of the few communities that can apply biosolids to farm grounds, and we work through certification programs to make sure that it is environmentally sound. But a lot of that waste ends up going to farm grounds and used for fertilizer. I told Ed, didn't really do anything to get that 39.4 inches of rain. We just we received it, but we were able to handle it and did pretty well with it. And the new gas services. We do a lot of water samples out at the water plant, and people come in all the time from around the county that want to have their water tested. They might have a well somewhere and want to see if it's water they can continue to drink or how they have to treat it. And I think I went over some of this already. The police department, one of the things we take very seriously is the safety and security of our community. And this past year, we replaced our old dispatch radio system with a new one. We added a new K-9 officer, Micaiah, and you can see we hadn't had a bloodhound before, but from the day that hound became part of our force, it's been used, and really is a nice addition to, and already we have 2 other canines available, mostly drug sniffing dogs, but these dogs are really key to keeping our community safe. You can see the number of calls the police department had, and how many investigations. 711 investigations just to cover. Property damage accidents. And we still do building checks. We'll do them on a regular basis. People ask us to do extra patrols if they just think that they're going to be gone for a while, or if they think there's something fishy going on. And so we'll conduct those. I do want to point out this Keep Watch membership. We rolled it out last year, but we haven't had the public get too involved in it. If you've got security cameras around your home, all you have to do is sign up. It doesn't mean we're going to get access to everything that's on there, but if there's a crime that happens in the vicinity, knowing that there is a camera in the vicinity can help us solve that crime quickly. And so it's just a register of anyone that has a security camera that might show the sidewalk, the neighborhood. We would really encourage the public to get involved in this. Again, the police department won't be knocking on your door every other day to look at your records. They will just come if there is an issue in the area, and if there's a crime in the area, you would probably want to help them assist, but they don't know you have the camera. So we'd ask the public to please register for this program. It's a good program. The fire department, 498 calls, and a lot of them are EMS. We were assisting Memorial Hospital throughout the year, and we were many times the primary because they were called out so many, everybody was tied up, or their personnel might have been sick from COVID, so we were the only ones available. We only had 2 house fires, and I'll give that, 2's too many. But we continue to stay focused on what we do to prevent fires in the community. And so our codes, they have meaning behind them. We really follow the state fire marshal and state regulations when it comes to fire code. But this is an important part of how to prevent these fires from happening. 2 house fires is too many. We do have a new engine. We thought it was going to be delivered in April, and now we got word that we might get our hands on it in March. So hope to have a new fire engine in place. And the old one then will be redeployed somewhere else. Not by the city. It will go into the hands of communities in need. We had code violations. We do not go out and proactively look for code violations, despite what everybody thinks. We're not just looking for you to do something wrong. But when you're doing something wrong to where it imposes harm or put someone else in danger or annoys the neighbors, and it's a code violation, we then follow up, we investigate. So these were all from complaints that were filed. And 85 complaints is a lot. Many of them are weed violations. Again, Jasper is known as a place that is very clean, orderly, tidy, and we want to keep it that way. So, we will address it when people complain. And then we did adopt a new nuisance ordinance in April, and that is really to kind of help us with enforcement. We have our fire chief is our code enforcement officer. First and foremost, he's a fire chief, and you saw all the runs that we make with regard to EMS and so forth. So he's doing those. Then he's the code enforcement officer. The Parks Department, we again made it to the new century. You know, we have credit cards at the Parks Department now, able to use that. Spirit of Jasper ran for the full year, even though it was cut back as far as capacity and masks required. We were at half capacity on there. Still had 1,178 riders on it. Spirit of Jasper is a real asset if we can use it. When it's sitting in the parking lot, it's not much of an asset. So we need to keep it up and running and make it part of our tourism attraction to Jasper. Jasper Pool opened, and even after 60 plus years, that pool was functioning with a lot of loss on water. We have some leaks that we're trying to address. But we at least got it open and people were able to enjoy it during the summer. Many pools didn't open. Buffalo Trace Golf Course had one of the best years ever. And, you know, you think about golf, what we did when we closed Rookser because of the cost of operating Rookser. A lot of people transitioned to our municipal golf course. And the focus in maintaining that is paying off. Pickleball courts at Bonert. It's a big investment, $111,000. People are constantly calling us about pickleball courts. You know, unbelievable how this has taken off. And we're looking at what we can do year-round with pickleball courts because we don't have those. So, big demand there. We did resurface the tennis courts out on Church Avenue. We also took the road jack donation of the Alexander Schoolhouse. It was a huge project that they did, moving the schoolhouse down along the Riverwalk and then putting it in place, and it's a show place. If you have not been there, it is well worth the time to spend, not just 15 minutes, but I'm talking about an hour plus, because there's so much to learn, so much to know about Dubois County that's displayed there. J.C. Park Playground, we're upgrading equipment in all the playgrounds. We had some that were outdated. We had some that needed to be upgraded. And we're just spending where appropriate according to our budget. If we have the money and it's appropriated for that, we'll get it done. And then older Americans were back out in force this past year. They were tired of being at home and needed some activities. So when we opened up the center and started these programs, they were there. And they've been there and supporting them all along. I'll say the arts department, they had their challenge in moving from the old Jasper Arts Center out here, the auditorium, to the new Tim Clark Cultural Center, and they opened it in January of 2021. In 2021, they had more visitors at the Tim Clark Cultural Center in the arts exhibits than they did in the previous, I think it was 11 years total. So you take the previous 11 years, total all the visitors we had out here They've had all that in 2021. And they're continuing to grow programs. What we're focusing on right now is activating the property, activating the facility, making sure it's got things going on every day, all day. So how do we extend hours? How do we make it more accessible to people is a big challenge for us. But they're working on it. We added out by the Portersville Road, the school corporation and the city recognize this as a very dangerous area. We both got complaints about students crossing this intersection, and traffic was going at a too high a rate of speed for that intersection. So we ended up not just putting the crosswalk there, but I think we ended up putting a stop sign there. And it's helped improve the safety of our students that are walking to and from school. And then all along Newton Street, we started out 15th to Sheeter Road, all the way through town, we're putting in sidewalks. And we have more people walking to work or walking to the stores or doing things throughout the city. And we needed to get them off the highway, off of Newton Street. That's just too dangerous a situation. We've committed to the next phase of it to go from 30th Street to 36th Street with sidewalk this year, and we'll see where it goes from there. But I would say it continues to go north until we're on the north end of town. Then we did do some sidewalk work also down along the Riverwalk, where we tied underneath the bridge. So we were able to tie it back over to the Tim Clark Cultural Center from the River Center. Dispatch Road, we had some concrete we replaced. If you rode on that, it was thunk, 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 and you're carrying freight that might have been fragile. It was time to get that done. Recycling, this is a point also that I feel like the community as a whole can do better. 45% participate in the recycling program, according to the street department. And we're afraid that people feel like, well, but all you're doing is taking it to the landfill anyway. And that's not the case. The city of Jasper street department has vendors. They have a demand for every one of the recyclables that we pick up. So it is being reground or repurposed, if you will. So please participate that and help us do our part to eliminate some of the landfill issues. Lots of bulk items collected and trash. This what a deal. We had to raise the rate on this. I think at one time we were only saying it cost 3 tickets to get a couch moved, and we brought it up to where it's actually marketable now, comparing. Lots of recyclables, lots of leaves, which we collect and then grind and convert into mulch, and we use it. Street sweepings, you think about that, those machines that go around, 270 tons of street sweepings. That's a lot of dirt picked up every day. The street department, even though it's not in the business of, we pick up a lot of dogs and find their way back to their homes. So when it's after hours and the Humane Society's not engaged with it, there we are. That was a recap of 2021, but 2022, I can tell you, it's exciting. And we just finished doing our prioritization of city projects. I sent it out. I hit send this morning at, 8 o'clock or so, 8:30, something like that. And at 9:30, I'm ready to revise it. That's how dynamic our city is. That's how opportunities come to us. I have no idea what might be next coming and knocking on our door, but when it comes, it's something that we have to weigh heavily against our existing prioritization list. And this prioritization list is then what we develop our financial plan from. So This shows 9. I can guarantee you that I think there were 63 on the prioritization list that I sent out. So this year, some of the things we've got going on, Kellerville Lift Station, we've been talking about it for a while. Actually, this year we'll get moving on that. The water main project on 3rd Avenue, they've started that. And that's why the four-way blinking light out here at Meridian and 3rd. And then something I'm required by law to do is go through this redistricting of the precincts to balance them out within our municipal boundaries. And so getting all the information collected so we can efficiently use the time of those that are going to be involved in that redistricting. The new pumper truck, I said, was on its way. I mentioned new housing developments. There are some that are really exciting that aren't even public, you know, that I know people are working on them, but they haven't come public with them yet. I can only imagine what it's going to do for our city and the growth of our city. And we've got to be prepared for that. Server upgrade, we've talked about that for a while, and we're biting the bullet and getting new servers into the city. Utilities is driving that primarily. And I mentioned sidewalks. We just talked about some federal funds that we've not gone after in the past. NDOT has some programs where if you're looking 5 and 6 years out, you can apply for funding. We normally focused a little bit closer in, and when you go after the community crossings, you can only deal with existing roadways, and it's a 50-50 share up to $1 million. When you go at these longer range plans, you can get an 80-20, 80% federally funded, 20% locally funded, and there really isn't a limit on it. You know, so we're talking $10 million projects out there in 25, 26, 27. We don't know what the Mid-States Corridor decision is going to tell us yet, but when it comes, we've got to be ready. And if it means access in the middle of town, the west of town, the east of town, south of town, wherever that access needs to be, we're going to have to put our plans together to make sure it makes sense with our current transportation plan. And it will not just for access with roadways, but utilities and the development and all those things that'll come with it. So there's a lot to work out there. Lots of road repairs, lots of stormwater projects. That's every year. Specifically in Holy Family, we deferred till this year to work on an area that's 4 streets. It's going to replace the curb, stormwater, and then 15th Street extension. When you look at 15th Street, it stubs out there on the west side of town, and we're going to carry that on out to where Legacy Living entrance is. There's a roadway there. So it'll come on out to 56 at that point, and that is something that we've had some comments or working alongside with the county because it's going to require a bridge, and then also with NDOT because of accessibility. Courthouse Square, mentioned that, timeline, it's a big project. This is phase 1, and then phase 2 will come through next. But it needs to be done, and we're looking forward to getting that underway. Strassenfest is relocating to 4th Street for this year, and most probably next year. That's what we're going to plan on. Farmers Market, you know, we started outgrowing the farmers market down in its current location. The demand for parking, people wanting to come in there and access to it, so we looked at relocating. They're going to the Tim Clark Cultural Center and Library and Arts area on the backside, on the east side of their parking lot, next to the buildings that Rojack had donated to the city. I think that's going to be a great location, good visibility, a lot of access, people can walk to it. And then something that's being worked on is the walking tours of Old Jasper. And we think that's a great tourist opportunity. Today, the park department has a gentleman on board. He's developing the tour and how to execute the tour through practice, and is reaching out to some of the retirement centers around here and getting tours booked so that our local people, some of the older people that haven't seen these, will get a chance to take a tour and him get some experience in developing this. Okay, this is a big one that came out of our long-range comprehensive plan, the Impact Jasper Comprehensive Plan. We started out with this talking in April of 21 with some potential partners, and it has evolved, and it's evolved quite a bit. We started out talking to the National Guard about what's the opportunity that we could get our hands on that property and maybe relocate them somewhere else around the city. We didn't want to lose them. We wanted to keep them in the city. They came back and said, well, let's partner in this. You know, this could be mutually beneficial. And so Colonel Hines has been representing the Indiana National Guard, has been working with us since that time, and we've evolved with the YMCA as another partner and Memorial Hospital to kind of develop what is this going to consist of. When we first started talking about it, we had big dreams, okay, real big dreams. I mean, really expensive big dreams. And, you know, we're back to reality now as to what it is we need in the community for the residents of the community and the immediate area. So we're going to plan on having an indoor pool. We'll end up having some gymnasiums in there, wellness center. There's going to be a nice facility, a kitchen that can be used, community kitchen. Really excited about that particular indoor facility. We're also going to replace, at least this plan is to replace the outdoor pool. And the outdoor pool would not be as big as it is today. It's not going to be a 50-meter pool. It'd be much smaller. It will have splash area or zero entry for young children. And the entry to this would be on the east side of the existing pool, close to where the tennis courts are, so that it would be all the same level for entry, ADA accessibility. This is a rough plan, and it's going to change from this, so don't take me to the bank on this yet. We're not financing it at this point. We have to still get that feasibility from them to know what this portion costs us and the latter portion, and which becomes the priority. We're going to have a new welcome sign one of these days soon on the north side of Jasper. My youth council was on Lisa and I. Lisa is our leader, and they said, we need a big sign on the north side of Jasper when you come into town. We want people to feel welcomed. They just felt like they called it rinky-dinky signs that we have just don't cut it. It doesn't really tell them, welcome to Jasper. So they've been working on the design and working on trying to get everything in place through NDOT and through other organizations, and this is what they've kind of come up with. They're supposed to be breaking ground at least by the middle of March. That's the plan, and hopefully have it done. The sign is almost done, the center part, but then the masonry work and everything has to be completed. And hopefully before school lets out this year, it will be in place. There's a community ecumenical council, and that community ecumenical council is some organization that I rely on to tell me what's going on in the city. What are the issues that we have as a community that need to be addressed? And that's why we ended up eventually as a city donating the Hydorn property as this transitional housing for women. The Ecumenical Council has a wonderful voice. They also want to stay focused on family values, which is what we're all about. And so a couple of years ago, they began the Family Festival. It started in Huntingburg. It moved to Jasper, and we've held on to it since then. But the Ecumenical Council has been responsible for the planning and execution of that, and has a wonderful turnout, has a lot of family-friendly activities, and we want to continue to see those kind of things happening. You know, we're not limited to just a Strassenfest or just a, Kid Fest, or we can do a lot of things in this community, and festivals are a great atmosphere for family fun. The anniversary trip to Pfaffenweiler is coming up. I mentioned that because of the partnership. Again, trying to develop and grow that. And so, we've got until, I think it's the end of March, toward the middle or end of March, in order to become a part of that. Really encourage people. It's a wonderful trip. Like to see as many people representing the city of Jasper and Pfaffenweiler as we can. And 2022 is well underway, and like I said, every step could change what's priority for the day. But we've got a roadmap, we've got our prioritization, and that's what we try to execute to. Our long-range comprehensive plan is number one, and the transportation plan fits into that. All these things have to fit together for us to get anything done. And we went through this, like I said, with the departments and the council members, and this is where we've landed. So I'm really excited about it. This is one of those jobs where, from like any job though, you have your highs and lows. And when I see what's possible in this city, it just excites me. And it excites me where we've come from. And we still hold those same values going forward. We haven't let go of any of that. We're still conservative in our financials, and will be. We're still moving forward with those family values, with trust, respect for each other. And I feel that's what makes Jasper Jasper. And as you see, the plan is going to maintain that. So I thank you for letting me bore you with some of this, but if there's any questions you might have at the end of it, I'd be glad to answer any. So, Nancy?